And we're gonna hit y'all hard now.
$100 million.
Is that confirmed? Because I saw something that said 58 million.
I saw 58, but let me just double check.
And I know 58 million was supposed to be opening weekend. But I also heard 100 million. I just haven't seen 100 million anywhere.
Yep. Oh
Confirmed?
no. Oh. Yes. Internationally, globally, it's $100 million.
Okay, that's what counts. That's it.
Yes.
All right. Well, made sure I wore my boxing shirt. So we could talk about this hard-hitting action. Or lack thereof.
And the ass and titties.
It was ass and titties in Creed? What movie you was watching?
Oh, I was watching Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, that's ass and titties?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Changing the lens. No, what is it? Changing the landscape. That's what's going on here. All right, so let's just get right into it because we dragging our feet here.
We are.
So, all right, Creed 3 came out. Highly anticipated movie. It came out a couple days ago. The 3rd?
It came out on the 3rd, yes.
Okay, so it came out a little less than 2 weeks ago. And, no, not 2 weeks. A week ago. Last weekend.
Last weekend. So it's been
Damn, it made 100 bill quick.
It's been over a week. Yes, that's between the U.S. and globally.
Oh,
So
that's only in a week. That's good.
Yeah,
I was about to say, I took baby girl to see it last weekend. That was Saturday. Yeah, a weekend. So it's been out like 12 days.
Yeah.
Or less than that. 9 days.
Mm-hmm.
Math is not my strong suit.
$100 million, and it is also currently the highest grossing sports film
Ever.
ever.
All right, so big things going on. So let's start with the movie came out. $58 million. $58 million domestically. Mm-hmm. As a whole, globally, over $100 million. It's doing great. It already broke all the records for sports films. Mm-hmm. And, yeah. Written by Ryan Coogler and someone else. I don't know his name, but who gives a fuck? And, yeah, you care about the other person?
Indifferent.
Yeah, fuck them. For me, not fuck them because, not fuck them because there's an issue. I want to focus on the fact that Ryan Coogler wrote it.
Yes.
That's what I want to focus on. So.
Yes. Written by Ryan Coogler.
Right.
Executive produced by his brother and some other person.
So a lot of executive producers. That's another conversation.
Yes, but
including Sylvester Stallone, which I found really interesting.
Who is not in Creed 3.
He's not involved at all, but I guess because of ownership, they had to put his name in. I don't know. We'll find out or not find out. I guess we'll see. But the movie came out, Creed 3. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if it broke all the records, you know it's the biggest box office hit for the Creed series. This is the 3rd installment. And a lot of shit has happened since this has come out just 9 days ago. You want to start with the announcements that are being made and the rumors that are going on, or you want to start with your thoughts on the film? Where you want to start?
I guess we should give thoughts on the film, and then we could talk about where it's going.
All right, was this the best Creed movie of the 3?
No.
I agree. I do not think this was the best of the 3.
But I thought it was solid. I thought it was a solid movie. Yeah. I liked it, like, as a whole. I thought it was great. I do think there were certain things about it that I didn't really care for. I felt like it took them too long to get to the root of the conflict. Like, maybe we didn't need it, right? It doesn't change what happened, whether we know it or not. I just like, when I'm watching a movie or a show, I prefer it the other way around. I prefer when me as the audience knows something that maybe characters in the movie don't know, rather than me being the one who doesn't know.
Like what? What do you mean?
So, I'm trying not to give it away because the movie just came out. But in terms of Dame is Jonathan Majors' character. Adonis is Michael B. Jordan's character. Dame and Adonis have a history. And they kind of like tell us part of the story, but then don't tell us the whole story. And it takes a while to get to what really happened, what the real story was.
Oh, okay.
And that was frustrating for me.
Wait, you trying to do this without spoilers?
Oh, are we spoiling? I mean, we can. I don't have a problem with.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go
off. My business. Yeah, I spoil everything.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go off. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we can speak freely.
All right, so if you haven't seen the movie, you should probably skip ahead. Probably
next.
about 20 minutes because that's normally how we do.
Right.
So skip like 15 to 20 minutes. Come back after you've seen Creed. We about to spoil the whole shit.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so Dame just got out of prison, right? And he goes and he finds Adonis, and at first it's not really clear what Dame is looking for. Over time, we realized that Dame is actually the villain. I mean, we knew going into the movie that he was going to be, but over time we realized he doesn't really have Adonis's best interest at heart. Like, it's almost like he has a grudge.
Yes.
That is fueling everything that he's doing in the film.
Yes.
And that grudge is with Adonis.
Yep.
What frustrated me was they start to tell us what happened. What was the thing that landed Dame in prison?
Right. And
how did him and Adonis go their separate ways?
Yes.
They start to tell us, they show us part of it, and
yes.
then they stop.
Yes.
And then they move on with the current story, and we have to kind of go through the motions. There's a bunch of flashbacks that take us back to that moment, and you see bits and pieces. And you can kind of, I mean, I think anybody who's savvy and like into storytelling and into movies or TV, you can kind of piece certain things together, right? Because,
yes.
you know, it's not that hard. But I was frustrated with the fact that we had to kind of wait a while for them to get to, hey, okay, so this is exactly what happened. This is how what you saw an hour ago ended.
Yes.
That frustrated me. Because I didn't need
12 flashbacks.
I didn't need all the flashbacks. You could have just told us what happened. And then we would have made peace with what happened and been like, oh, okay, I totally see why Dame is upset. Totally see why Adonis is where he's at. I get it. And we could have continued. The same movie could have happened without all of those flashbacks if they would have just done the one flashback with the entire story.
Yes.
That frustrated me.
Keep going.
It did. I also feel like, I don't know, you go.
Sorry, that reminded me of my daughter. Because my daughter be going in on our pod, and she'd be like, yeah, that's what I think. Okay, you go. I'm like, that's it? That's all your thoughts? She goes, no, but you go.
You go, because then, let's do dialogue, and then it'll jog my memory to other things. That,
all right, so speaking of my daughter, what's interesting is I took her to see it.
Yeah.
She wanted to go. Actually, it ended up being a whole squad of us, but after the movie, we're walking home, talking about the movie, and she said, Dad, it's messed up. Like, why Mama Creed had to die? I said, yeah, I didn't like that either. That was kind of pointless. And she looked at me and real serious. She said, Mama Creed died. What she said? She said, Creed lost his mom and Black Panther. That's messed up. I said, and at first, I'm going to be honest, I was looking around like, what the fuck that got to do with anything? But sometimes, as parents, we gotta shut the fuck up. Because you know what it do have to do with each other? Ryan Coogler wrote both movies.
He did.
And so, I realized
she's a smart kid.
she might be right.
She made that connection.
Because when she said it, I was like, but baby, they're two different franchises. She said, yeah, but Oh, she said, but Michael B. Jordan is in both movies.
Right.
I said, okay, that's true. But really, Ryan Coogler
Deeper,
wrote
darker,
both films.
yes.
That's the deeper, darker criminal link. Yeah.
Right.
And so she might have had something there. Like, what's up with Ryan Coogler killing the old ladies?
Yeah. Well, okay. So totally understand.
Because
like,
Mama Creed, there was no reason for her to die. It felt like to me, this was, there's no Rocky. We're going to get rid of Mama Love. And then it's a whole clean slate. All the old people from the Rocky films are completely gone.
I think that's exactly what he did.
Even the scene where we see Drago, both scenes, you don't see his pops.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they were
So
doing.
I think this was like,
this was a setup.
this was the sweep.
And I told you off pod that I watched an interview with Wood Harris,
Yes.
who plays Duke,
Yes.
and Wood Harris said, "This is all a part of a big," which I guess we can get to it. But Wood Harris said, "This is Ryan Coogler has been working on this story for probably the better part of a decade, and this is not the end. So." It would completely make sense that it's time to get rid of some of these old people. Basically, what Wood Harris said is this conflict between Dame and Adonis was a way to springboard the next plot line, basically.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not a surprise. I remember a while back there was a rumor that they were doing a Drago movie.
Okay.
And we didn't know what the details of that were, but it seemed like after number 2, we're going to find out what happens next with him.
Okay.
And so I was not surprised to see Drago in number 2. But yes, that makes sense. I could see that Drago could do a movie going back to my daughter because she, well, you know, we watch all this stuff on Disney Plus. She said, you know, Dad, what they really should do next. I know I told you this already off pod, but she said, you know, what they really should do next. She said it should be a series because I don't want to sit in the movies for 2 hours and watch this. But if they did a show like a couple episodes, like the Marvel and the other shows, I'd watch it. But they should do a show about what happened to Dame when he was in prison. And
I would like
she
to
said
see that.
even if it was just centered around him like boxing and training still, she'd be interested in seeing that story. And I was like, okay, girl,
I would be interested in seeing
you might
that.
have something there. And so there is room.
We got a young TV writer
Listen,
in the making.
you know, just trying
because
to.
I would totally watch that.
Yeah,
That was
so
very smart.
I think that they know that. So there's room to. What they've done in this film is create a lot of room for other things.
Yeah.
There's a young guy who's the champion in the beginning of the film. Drago is the number 1 contender. We don't know how the hell that happened. It's been 3 years since his retirement. They flash forward.
Yeah.
Dame is now the former ex-champion.
Right.
The daughter is trying to be a
Is learning how
boxer.
to box, yeah.
That's 5 movies right there, or a series,
Yeah,
or
series.
something. And there's other shit.
I
Because
think it would be really easy too to create a series around the daughter's story.
yeah, or even the guy who Ricky Tamlin or whatever it is, the guy he beats in Creed 1 and then beats in this film in the beginning.
Yeah.
He went to prison at the end of number 1.
Yeah.
We could get a whole story about him being in prison, his coming out of prison, him going back through the ranks of boxing to go to be the number 1 contender to fight
Did he cross
Creed at the
paths with
beginning.
Dame?
Did he cross paths with Dame? Probably not, because it was in the UK.
Oh, okay.
His thing was overseas, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
My
but
bad.
lots of interesting things that could
Yeah.
be, developed from there, stories that can be told from there. Even when they do the like Showtime 24/7 thing right before the Dame and Creed fight, they say that Duke Jr. and Creed have like this entire stable of great fighters now. That's a show.
Yeah.
And really, Michael B. Jordan don't really even need to be in it that
No,
much. He
he
could just
doesn't.
make small cameos.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing of Michael B. Jordan becoming like the Don King, quote unquote.
Right.
Or really the Floyd Mayweather, quote unquote. And so there's a lot of stuff we could do here.
Yeah.
they could do here. And so I don't think it's bad that Amazon is who's the owner of MGM now. From during COVID, they purchased it. I don't think it's bad that they're saying they want to do more stuff, but I gotta be honest, and I already said this to you off pod. I know that this comes from Marvel. I know that all of the big studios are looking at what Marvel is doing and saying, hey, we want to do that shit.
Yeah.
Even Disney bought Star Wars, and they're kind of doing a lot of things with Star Wars that are similar, not the same, because Star Wars has a lot of internal problems, but they're doing a lot of things that's more universe oriented and not like just the main story.
Yeah.
You see that with DC trying to do the same thing. They failed. Now they're going through this whole relaunch. My point is, I know that everyone is seeing the success of Marvel and the billions and billions and billions of dollars that are coming in, and they're saying, hey, I want that. But everybody don't gotta be Marvel.
No, I agree.
I don't think people realize, and this is where DC fucked up, I don't think people realize how hard it is to accomplish that.
And I've talked on Hardly. I've talked a lot about the fact that I'm fascinated by the fact that you could get that many people. Speaking about like the people who write this stuff, the people who have to come up with ideas. Like I know that there's one person who spearheads it all.
Kevin Feige.
Yes, but it's without him, sure, it doesn't happen, but without a lot of people, it doesn't happen, right?
Correct.
The way they have figured out over the past decade how to interweave these stories, and we could tell when they're being a little lazy.
Like Phase 4.
We could tell when they're being a little lazy. We could tell when they're running out of ideas. We could tell when, you know, it's time to shift because they need to revive. Those things are obvious, but the fact that they've even been able to get to a Phase 5 to where there is that much content that all somehow works together is not only incredible, but it's almost unfathomable.
Unfathomable.
Unfathomable. I don't know.
Got your back.
I couldn't say that.
It happens.
So, yes, I agree that one of the biggest concerns with other studios trying to do this is that, or even other stories trying to do this, is that
it's easy to fuck it up.
It is hard to make a sequel that is good.
Yes.
And we even talked off pod about how there's probably maybe a handful or maybe a couple of handfuls of sequels that have been better than the original movie. That doesn't happen very often.
It does not.
Sequels, and over time, if you have enough sequels, something's gonna go awry. Even if they're going well, something's going to get weird, because again, there are all these people that have to contribute to this. There are all these ideas. And at some point you do get to a point where like you've exhausted a lot of the ideas. You trying to come up with what is new and fresh and engaging. And let's be honest, the reason Marvel can get lazy in Phase 4 is because they've kept people captivated from Phase 1.
Yes.
So once you've built up that following too, it gets even weirder because they have the reputation to stand on. People will still sell out the movie theaters.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I think I'm excited to see what the next chapter of this looks like. I know they're talking about doing series, they're talking about movies, they're talking about anime, because there was a lot of that sprinkled in the movie in Creed 3. Now I don't know anything about anime, so I can't really speak to that. But I know that this has been a conversation even before the movie came out with with the Jonathan Majors shoot that was done.
Yes.
Apparently Michael B. Jordan is very into anime.
Yes.
So
the anime, their scenes, a lot of the fighting scenes were inspired by anime. Michael B. Jordan has been very public about his fandom of anime, his love for anime. And so that is where he kind of took the directing style. A lot of the fight scenes, like the super zooming in and the way that the effects were, the fight scene with them like being in black and white and alone, which I fucking did not like, but we'll get to it. It was alright until it ended. Like when it was happening, I was like, this ain't my favorite part of the movie, but I guess it's okay. And then when the shit ended and it was like, wow, what an amazing end to round 11. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, that was rounds 2 through 11?
Yeah.
Now, see, that's when it became like, I didn't need this.
Yeah.
I didn't like that shit.
Yeah,
But that was inspired by anime as well. And so, yeah, so because of that, Amazon has already said they're also interested in doing some type of anime series.
I just think that scene went on too long. I didn't have a problem with the scene happening. I just think it was way too long for what it was.
Well, if it's rounds 2 through 11, it has to be lengthy.
I understand that.
Which is why I thought it was trash.
But because of the fact that it's kind of like this thing that's moving away from the film itself, in a way, I think it just went on too long. I think,
the grunting and roaring, like what the fuck was that?
Yeah, the timing of it. I think the timing of these things have to be really well thought out, because if it goes on too long, then someone like me is like, oh, let me see if I have any texts, or
go hit the bathroom for a break.
Hit the bathroom.
Refill my popcorn.
Right. I think that it's very easy, unfortunately, like we live in a time where it is very easy to get distracted. And I just feel like that scene went on too long. It wasn't so much that I didn't like that it happened. I thought it was a little strange, but it was more for me that it was too long. It was too long. And I understand, to your point, that rounds 2 through 11 would have to be a little bit longer, but to me it just
to me, that's why it shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Why would you give me that's rounds 2 through 11?
Right. And this is the fight that we've been waiting for. Like this is the part of the movie that everybody is
This is why people went to the theater. Yeah, that's why people went to the theater.
This is why we're here, and now you've kind of I don't know.
Who did a better acting job? Jonathan Majors or Michael B. Jordan?
Okay, so I just want to start off by saying that they played two very different roles in the movie.
Sure.
Their characters were coming from two completely different perspectives.
It's a lot. Y'all hear all that bail? Y'all hear it? It's a lot of grace right now. It's filling the room, all the grace.
However,
just keep it real, son.
I'm going to tell the truth. You know I'm going to tell the truth.
Well, let's have it.
I feel like as far as performance goes, and if this movie gets nominated for awards, I'm curious to see.
I don't know how it would, but okay.
I'm just saying, if it does, I don't know. The Hollywood loves Michael B. Jordan.
And they're starting to love Majors.
Jonathan Majors. So it's very possible that it could come up for consideration next year. We don't know.
Sure.
I mean, we're still very early in the year. There's a lot of films that have not come out yet, so maybe it won't be. I don't know. But let's say that they were up for awards and the two of them were neck and neck. I would go with Jonathan Majors. I think that Jonathan Majors performs, and maybe I'm just biased because I really like his acting style. I really enjoy seeing him. Like I even talked, we talked off pod about his role as Kang the Conqueror in.
We spoke about it on pod.
Did we?
Yeah.
I can't remember. But I talked about him being in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and
how he's good at being like sinister, but soft
exactly.
at the same time.
So this is not exactly the same, but I felt like he does the same thing. Like he does a really good job at kind of like like selling it, but also being really cool about it at the same time. Like his whole demeanor is, it's like he has a quiet demeanor, but you don't really see it coming. And that's what I like about his act. Like the last two movies I've seen him in, I've been like, oh, okay, because I did not know that. I know that going into it, like I said, we all knew that they were gonna be at odds. We didn't know why.
Right.
So when you first get into the movie and they first see each other, things are kind of cool between them, but you could see it's like he has this look in his eye where you're like, I don't think we can trust him.
Right.
And that, I think that's a great villain make. Like, I think that's how you set it up. Those are the building blocks right there. So I would say better performance. I would go with Jonathan Majors on this. It's not that Michael B. Jordan didn't do a good job. I just feel like Michael B. Jordan had a different task. And if you're asking me whose task was more interesting and who was able to sell it more, I think Jonathan Majors was. Just easily, honestly. And that's not any shade to Michael B. But
I think Jonathan Majors stole the show.
oh, he did an incredible job.
I think he did a great job. I think we got to see his range in this movie. We got to see him be funny, charming, humble, angry, sinister, you name it.
Oh, he was all of the things.
He was all of the things. And Jonathan Majors, he was the part. He had the walk, he had the talk, he had the style, he had it all. In this film, it seemed like Jonathan Majors was the star. It didn't seem like Adonis Creed was the star of this film.
I think he was supposed to be.
Well, I was going to say maybe that's on purpose.
I think that's on purpose.
But to me, there's some movies where I think Dark Knight is a great example. Where in the movie Batman Dark Knight, Heath Ledger stole the show. However, Christian Bale still acted his ass off, so you still knew it was a Batman movie. It still felt like Batman was the star. It just was like, man, this Heath Ledger guy, like, shit, he's really giving him a run for his money. I don't know who I would choose if I had to vote. That's not the case with this film. This film felt like, yeah, Michael B. Jordan was cool. This guy did a way better job. I'll give you another example. Southpaw. Jake Gyllenhaal. That's how you pronounce his name?
I think it's Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal. JG. You know what I'm saying? He was doing a great job in the film. But there's a point in the film when Forrest Whitaker turns it up.
Listen, Forrest Whitaker is always going to turn it up.
But in the beginning of the film, well, you don't meet Forrest Whitaker's character till a certain point in the movie.
No, I get that.
And at that point, he's cool. He's, it's just chilling. He's just doing what he does.
I just love Forrest Whitaker.
Me too. But there's a certain point in the film when Forrest Whitaker turns it up and you like, is this about to be Forrest Whitaker's movie? Because this just got real crazy real quick.
Yeah.
And even though that moment happens, Jake still demands the attention and does what he has to do so you know, hey, I'm the star of this motherfucker. Even though that's a seasoned OG I could never even compete with. And he's doing his motherfucking thing to boost this film.
Right.
It's clear that I'm still the star. That was not the case with Creed 3.
But now that we know that there are building blocks being set up, and now that we know that they have this long-term plan for the Creed brand, isn't it possible that that is what they intended to do? That they wanted to prop up this character, that they wanted to kind of start removing Creed from the main stage, like they wanted to stop centering him so that someone else's story could be told? Because that's the impression that I'm getting, that they very intentionally pushed Dane to the front. Now, in terms of acting and like selling the show, yeah, Jonathan Majors.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
I know, but I'm saying I think it's a combination of the two. I think that Jonathan Majors is an amazing actor, and I think that showed in this. But I also think that I don't think it was ever intended for, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it was ever intended for Michael B. Jordan to stand out in this specific film.
But to me that's a problem. The movie's called Creed.
Yeah, but
it's not.
I mean, it's like the Captain America movie that ended up being all about Avengers. I don't remember which one it was.
Civil War.
Civil War. It was not about Captain America at all. It was about the Avengers. But
okay,
it was a setup, right, for a lot of other things that were to come. So I kind of feel like, because that's, as you were giving the examples,
but who was the star of that movie?
Everybody.
Okay. I feel like even though Civil War is a chaotic, crazy, great film,
it was great.
You still know Captain America is the star of the film. Yes, it was setting things up for Black Panther to come in and for people to betray each other and all this other stuff. But Captain America was still the star of the show.
I disagree, because I even remember when I watched it, I even called you up and I said, but isn't this a Captain America movie? Why they should have just called it an Avengers movie? I hold on to that today, that I think that movie should have been an Avengers movie. I don't think it was a Captain America movie at all.
A lot of people feel that way.
So that's all I'm saying.
I understand.
But I understand why Marvel did that.
Yes.
Is kind of my point here.
It was setting up a lot of other shit, like you're saying about this film.
Right. So that's
my problem is, it's a Creed movie. Creed should be the star. It should feel like Creed is the star. I did not feel like Creed was the star of this film.
We should also point out...
now, he was an important foundation. This film could not have happened without him, sure. But did he command attention and be the powerhouse of the film? No.
But also, Michael B. Jordan directed the film.
That's what I was about to say.
And had to direct himself.
Difficult task.
So... Also, that was the second thing I think I said to you off pod, was that not only the setup, but also if you are in the movie and you are directing the movie, you probably tried to make it so that your work as an actor was a little bit less than it would normally be.
Right.
So that you could focus on directing the film. And
he did a good job directing. I don't want to take away from that.
Yeah, I think I
don't want to take away from that. This is a monumentous debut. For your debut to be $100 million and break records, that's a great start. And I know he already loves Ryan Coogler, but man, you should really love Ryan Coogler at this point, because he alley-ooped that shit to him.
And I think it's hilarious that people are like, oh, Lori fumbled the bag. Lori didn't fumble anything. I just think it's silly. But her name is coming back up again, because I think that people are looking at him and going, oh, okay, Michael B.
Okay, I'm glad you said that.
Uh-huh.
And so, right when the movie was coming out,
yeah,
there was a big conversation about Michael B. Jordan being corny.
Yes, because of the girl he went to high school with that interviewed him on the red carpet.
It was actually not her, it was her co-host, which came out later. The woman who interviewed him and he quote-unquote checked is the co-host of the woman he went to school with, who made fun of him, and they made fun of him when they interviewed him on their show.
Right.
Cool. People said he was corny. People said he'd been corny. Cool. I'm not going to debate that. That's up to other people. I don't even care about that. But here's what I do care about, and I think is really fucking dumb. People are on the internet saying, oh, look what this corny nigga was able to do. I guess corny niggas break records.
What? Who said that?
Listen, I'm seeing it
no,
on the internet.
I guess corny niggas are in the comments. That's what I guess.
It's saying like, yo, salute to the corny Michael B. Jordan, like as a mock. People are saying, like, to big him up, they're saying, salute to corny Michael B. Jordan for directing a great film. Let me explain something to y'all. You can still be corny and be great at what you do.
Frank, being corny,
I just want y'all to understand, being corny has nothing to do with your skill level in your field. You could be super corny and be a great songwriter, super corny and be a great supervisor, super corny, and apply any job title.
Well,
They don't have a motherfucking thing to do with each other. They do not intersect. There are plenty of corny people who are great at their jobs.
listen, it's so funny you say that because one of the things that Wood Harris said, they asked him about this whole corny red carpet thing, which he handled it well.
I mean, he's a vet.
He was like, well, Mike is 36. He says, so Mike probably thinks about corny the way that I, think about corny. He's like, I'm a little bit older than Mike, but he said back in the day, corny would mean like, you didn't have like the flyest clothes, or, you didn't like, the girls weren't really checking for you or whatever, something like that. So he gives like his description of what, when he was growing up, what corny meant. He's like, feel like, these days things mean different things now, right? Like people's interpretations of things are a little bit different now. But he was like, I think Mike handled it well. He was like, I think that there's a sentiment that, is it wrong? And I guess this is where I'm going with this. Like, I want to ask the question. Do you think it was wrong for him to point out that he was called corny in high school?
Yes.